A starter home for $500,000. Let me say that again. A starter home for $500,000. If that doesn't sound insane to you, you've been gaslit by the real estate industrial complex. Trying to save for a down payment while prices climb 10% a year? It's like pushing a boulder uphill while wearing roller skates. And here's the question nobody's asking. Is this your dream home or a house of cards you're building to impress people who aren't even paying attention to your life? Because while everyone's telling you homeownership is building wealth, Charlie Munger's ghost is screaming from the grave. You're about to reset your compounding clock to zero. The mathematical murder. Let's talk about the most important number in your financial life, $100,000. Charlie Munger called the first $100,000 the most brutal, back-breaking milestone you'll ever hit. Why? Because you're in the manual labor phase of wealth building. Your money isn't working for you yet. You are the machine. Every dollar is you, grinding, sacrificing, saying no to brunch, driving the old car, living like a grad student while your friends are posting their #homeowner selfies. But here's the magic. Once you hit 100K, compounding takes over. Your money starts doing the heavy lifting. At 10% annual returns, that 100K becomes 200K in 7 years without you adding another cent. In 33 years, you're a millionaire. Now here's the brutal math that real estate agents will never show you. You spend 10 years, a decade, digging through wet cement to save your first $100,000. Blood, sweat, rice and beans, the whole Dave Ramsey torture protocol. And then you hand it over as a down payment. Poof. Your compounding machine? Reset to zero. Back to go. Do not collect $200. That $100,000 you just buried in a foundation, if you'd left it in an index fund for 33 years at historical market returns, it would have grown to $1.4 million without you lifting another finger. But instead, it's locked in drywall, generating exactly zero passive income, the debt noose. Now let's talk about that $400,000 mortgage you just signed. Munger had a rule. If you need debt to make your plan work, your plan sucks. And a mortgage is the ultimate debt noose. It's compound interest working against you. On a 30-year mortgage at 7% interest, you'll pay over $558,000 in interest alone. That's more than the house costs. You're buying the house twice, once for yourself, once for the bank. Think about the momentum difference. Investment snowball, rolling downhill, getting bigger, gaining speed. Your money, which makes more money, exponential. Debt snowball, melting in the sun. Every payment is mostly interest. You're running uphill just to stay in place. Munger called this the dark side of compound interest. When you're on the wrong side of the exponential curve, it's a noose that tightens every year. And here's the kicker. While you're locked into that 30-year sentence, you can't pivot. Market crash? Opportunity of a lifetime? Too bad. You're house poor, illiquid, and one job loss away from foreclosure. Margin of safety? Zero. The sin of envy. Why do people do this to themselves? Munger knew. Envy is the dumbest sin because it's not even fun. You're not buying a $500,000 house because you need 2,500 square feet. You're buying it because your college roommate just bought one. Your parents keep asking when you're settling down. You're tired of feeling like a pauper in an expensive suit at dinner parties. But here's the paradox. The moment you buy that house, your net worth drops to zero. Down payment? Gone. Equity? Mostly the banks. Net worth? You're leveraged 5 to 1 and one bad year away from being underwater. Meanwhile, your boring friend who kept renting and investing, their net worth is compounding at 10% a year while they sleep. You don't get rich by acting rich. You get rich by acting boring. Stop trying to impress idiots who don't pay your bills and won't attend your funeral. Resume versus balance sheet. Here's the test nobody talks about. Are you building a resume or building a balance sheet? When you buy that $500,000 house, you must keep the job. Can't take risks. Can't start the business, can't take a sabbatical. You must work more hours, need that promotion, that raise, that bonus to cover the mortgage. You become a hired gun, exchanging your life's irreplaceable hours just to keep the bank happy. This is what I call careerism, optimizing your life to look successful on LinkedIn instead of actually becoming independent. Contrast this with the balance sheet approach. Assets that generate income while you sleep, investments that compound without your labor, freedom to take calculated risks because you're not one paycheck from disaster. The house is not an asset. It doesn't pay you. You pay it. every month for 30 years. Robert Kiyosaki was right about one thing. If it takes money out of your pocket, it's a liability, even if it's pretty and has granite countertops. The MUNGER prescription. So what would MUNGER do? 1. Play good defense. The big three expenses are housing, transportation, and food. Housing is the nuclear bomb of your budget. Instead of a $500,000 house with a $2,800 month mortgage, what if you rented for $1,800 and invested the difference, bought a $300,000 house and invested the savings, house hacked a duplex and lived for free? $1,000 a month invested at 10% for 30 years is $2.3 million. That's the real cost of the fancy house. 2. Circle of competence. Don't wander into a housing market you don't understand just because of FOMO or hot tips from your coworker who watches HGTV. If you don't understand the local market dynamics, rental yields, property tax trajectories, and HOA hell, you're gambling, not investing. 3. Margin of safety. Munger's obsession. Always leave room for error. If you're stretching to afford the house today, what happens when interest rates rise and your ARM adjusts? Property taxes increase 20%. You lose your job for 6 months. The housing market drops 30% like 2008. If your plan requires everything to go perfectly, your plan sucks. Stay liquid, stay conservative, so you don't go back to go when reality hits. The paradox of wealth. Here's the paradox of wealth that nobody wants to hear. The big money is in the waiting. Munger didn't get rich by being impatient. Buffett didn't buy his house until he'd already made his fortune. They understood looking cheap now is inevitable later. So here's my challenge to you. Hit your first $100,000 in investments before you lock yourself into a massive liability. Let compound interest do its magic. Let your money do the heavy lifting. Build your balance sheet, not your resume. And yes, this means living below your means while everyone else peacocks, driving the paid-off Honda while neighbors lease BMWs, renting the worst neighborhood while friends buy in the good school district, enduring the questions, when are you buying? Don't you want to build equity? You will look cheap. You will look unsuccessful. You will look like you're behind. But in 10 years, when their investments hit $500K and theirs hit zero because they're still underwater on the mortgage, you'll have options, freedom, sanity. They'll have a kitchen island and a 25-year ball and chain. The first rule of compounding: never interrupted unnecessarily. Don't reset your wealth machine for granite countertops and a 2-car garage. The $500,000 starter home isn't a dream. It's a trap. Choose wisely.
If this video made you rethink the biggest purchase of your life, hit subscribe. I break down the brutal financial truths nobody wants to say out loud. Watch more why the first 100,000 is brutal, but every dollar after comes faster. Remember, rationality is rare. Compounding is inevitable. Don't interrupt it. See you next time.